Based on 2 days and yesterday hearings, which are your expectations on this trial?
Our expectations are that our client's going to be found not guilty. Obviously, you saw the evidence that we presented. It's a case to be presented by the SPO on command and control, and effective command and control. And I thought the evidence that we brought out today clearly shows there was no command and control structure. It's certainly not an effective command and control structure. The KLA operated at a grassroots level and operated with the control of the operative zones and the operative zone commanders. And it was not a vertical chain of command. And I think that we made that quite clear today.
Why did you ask yesterday for an urgent request to the court for some of the footage of your client being interviewed during the investigation case not to be shown during the opening statement?
Well, just because it's an evidentiary issue. If you're going to use something in the courtroom, it should be on your evidence exhibit list. It wasn't. So it's a procedural matter, and we've constantly had evolving exhibits going on to an evolving exhibit list, and we thought that was improper. But it is what it is. It's fine.
I can add one other point, which is they only disclosed it to us last week. So, in effect, they got the opportunity to use videos of the interviews in their opening statement, but we did not have a real opportunity to look for the other parts of the videos to play in the opening statement. So it was also an issue of fairness in terms of both sides should have a fair opportunity to use the evidence.
During your opening statements, you also used some of the verdicts of the ICTY in the case of Limay and Ramush Haradinaj. Could you explain to us how that goes in this case and how that shows that joint criminal enterprise is not really what happened, or your client was not part of this joint criminal enterprise that the SPO is claiming to be?
Well, there were very specific rulings in those cases concerning crimes against humanity, that there was not a widespread attack against the civilian population. Those rulings, that's just one, those rulings are equally applicable here. What we're going to see are many of the same witnesses, many of the same events that were tried in Limay and Haradinaj, and those individuals were found not guilty, certainly on a command responsibility level and a joint criminal enterprise level. So those rulings coming from Limay and Haradinaj are very important.
There are a lot of international diplomats who are going to come and testify here before the court.
They will.
Would you call also Joe Biden, since you mentioned him today as senator?
That might be a little difficult. As President of the United States, I think he's a little busy. So I just put that in evidence because, of course, we'll put the entire transcript in evidence. He saw President Thaci in July of 1999, had the conversation that you saw that he gave to the Committee on Foreign Relations. But there will be numerous other international figures who will be testifying.
When can we expect a less redacted indictment? Because there are still some redacted.
That's something
you got to ask the prosecutor's office. That.
Okay, so you don't have another indictment which is less redacted right now?
We have a less redacted indictment, but there are still some redactions in the indictment. But the defense has got a less redaction indictment. But to echo what Luka said, with regard to a fully redacted indictment, I don't know what the SPO plans on doing.
And during the process, will you request, for example, for Thaci and others that they can release from prison?
Well, the problem with a release from prison now, generally speaking, when an accused is in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, that person is in custody during the course of the trial. That's not to say during longer breaks we won't ask for some release back to Kosovo. That will seriously be considered.
Thank you.
Also, could you maybe tell us how many witnesses you will call for your case?
I think it's too early for that.
Would maybe you can tell us some of these international figures that could be witnesses in the case?
Well, we've been very public about witnesses that we are going to put on. It will be Ambassador Kushner. It will be Ambassador Walker from the United States. Ambassador Everts, who had been with the OSCE but had been an ambassador for the Netherlands. We will probably try to put on Jamie Rubin, who was former spokesperson for the State Department. As you heard today, of course, you know that Secretary Albright is passed, as is President Rugova. But We will put on any number of individuals that were senior people in the OSCE, Ambassador Covey, and who are we missing there? That's. But these are names that we've talked about before. General Clark, yes. These are names we've spoken about before. We publicized, so we have filings in there that have all the names. What we had initially tried to do is take their testimony prior to the trial, and the reason for that, frankly, is that many of these people, I wish them a long life, but many of these gentlemen are in their 80s.
Thank you a lot for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.